On August 1st, 1957, minor league outfielder and pitcher Glen Gorbous set the record for the longest baseball throw in a stunt for his team attendance. Little did he know that this record would stand for the rest of his life and long after, as it still is the record to this day. Here's a story behind all of this today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. And today's trivia question to listen out for is, what Hall of Fame baseball player actually held the record for the longest throw at one time? Now, the first record for the longest baseball throw was set by John Hartfield in 1865, where he threw the ball 349 feet. And this was before professional baseball was a thing. And partly because of this, John would actually go on to join the Cincinnati Red Stockings, as he was known for having the longest throw. And this was something that was measured back in the day, as we didn't have radar guns or advanced statistics and analytics that we have today. One of the skills done was how far can you throw the ball. It let you know if you were going to be a good outfielder or if you could make that throw from third to first, which was a long throw, and was something that was done regularly trying out in the early years of baseball. Now, it's something that is not done today, as we want to keep players' arms intact. We don't want to throw as far as we can throw, just like you don't want to throw as fast as you possibly can throw. You want it all to be under a controlled motion, and trying to throw as far as you can throw is often not a controlled motion. But maybe this is something they could add to the All-Star event, like the Home Run Derby, add a longest throw competition as well. It'd be fun for the fans, and get this back in the consciousness, and allow a different type of event to happen for their All-Star event, which is mainly focused around the Home Run Derby. And it'd be interesting as you could put pitchers versus fielders, as many different kinds of players have held the record over the years. Now, John would go on to break his record multiple times, and would eventually have the record at 400 feet and 7 inches. And in 1898, Hall of Fame third baseman Honus Wagner threw the ball 403 feet and 8 inches, beating John Hatfield's record by over a yard. And it only took him 3 throws to beat the record. And this was, again, a promotional stunt, which each player got paid $60 at the time to participate, hoping to drive attendance to the game. Then in 1952, Don Great of the Chattanooga Lookouts was able to throw a ball 434 feet, which at the time, the Chattanooga team, their park, had 520 feet from the center field wall to the backstop behind home plate. And it only took him 3 balls to throw that distance, as it hit the top of the dugout where they measured it. And he would go on later to break his record, throwing 441 feet and 1 inch. Then we come to Glen Gorbous, who grew up in Canada and actually grew up playing hockey as well as baseball, and got noticed trying out for a Dodgers camp that they held in Calgary, and was able to make a minor league roster there. At the time, he was an outfielder and was struggling to find his way in the minor leagues, although he did top the 300 hit mark 4 out of his 5 seasons in the minors. And in 1955, he actually was able to make it onto the Cincinnati Reds roster and played 8 games before he was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, where he played 91 games. But he struggled hitting at the major league level, finishing with a batting average of just .238, and would eventually get sent back down to the minors after being traded to St. Louis in 1957, where he'd play for the Cardinals Omaha team. And this is where he really took notice, as often before games, as he was warming up, trying to impress his teammates, he would throw the ball up into the lights, knocking out bulbs. So this caused the team to do 2 things. One, they wanted him to stop doing that so they didn't have to replace the bulbs. So they changed his position from being an outfielder to being a pitcher, as he had a very strong arm. And also, they started a promotional event to see how far he could throw the ball and to see if he could set the world record. And they mentioned if he did so, he would get $200 if he broke the record. And that's all he needed to know. Making a little extra cash was more than enough for him. And on August 1st, 1957, on a hot, muggy day in St. Louis, he took a running start, and on his 3rd throw, was able to set the record at 445 feet and 10 inches. Now, analysts have gone back and estimated that the velocity he threw the ball with was 115 miles an hour. And he was so sore that he didn't play that day's game, as he needed to rest his arm, as exerting yourself that much. And he got that $200, which he blew buying beers for his team after the game. And sadly, this would be the last time that Glen would make headlines or news, as his transition to being a pitcher didn't work out that great. 4 days after breaking the record, he would make his pitching debut in a relief performance, pitching 4 innings, allowing just 1 run. But shortly after that, he would make his last appearance, as while pitching, they were trying to try some new things with him, and the coach asked him to maybe try a sidearm pitch instead of the overhand. And when he did this, he felt a pop. And after that, he shortly retired, as repairing arms back then was not what it was today. And he went on to go work for his family store up back in Canada. But he will always be remembered for what he did, throwing a baseball farther than anyone had ever done before, and no one has ever done since. Now, shortly after he broke the record, Don Greek, who previously had the record, was also in the minors, and when they were going to play a game against each other, and the teams got together to try to put together a match-style competition to see who could throw the furthest. That later fizzled out, as these long throw competitions were not gaining the notoriety that the teams wanted for fans to come to the games. So they just decided not to do it. Now, Glen later went on to be part of the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame, and though he may not ever been known for anything else other than throwing a ball further than anyone has ever done before, he was still a great ambassador to the game and loved the game, as sadly a lot of these players back in this era were injured due to faulty mechanics, faulty workouts, and lack of knowledge from mechanics and workouts, and sadly we didn't have the knowledge of how to repair an arm to get back to pitching. But his name is still in the history books, even after his passing in 1990 following open heart surgery. And I want to thank you for listening to this episode. Please, if you like this, leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening. This one was a challenge to find information on, and it was fun. And I want to keep finding these lesser known information, but I need support from you to help grow this so I can offer even more obscure and random sports history. And come back tomorrow for more daily sports history. And did you catch the answer to today's trivia question? What Hall of Fame baseball player once had the record for the longest throw of a baseball? The answer, Honus Wagner.